Banks and my pottery is called Chloris Ceramics. I specialise in crystalline glazes which need a high fire, smooth white body, preferably porcelain. To get that smoothness, I do a lot of slip casting, and that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. I'm not producing at an industrial level, so what I'm going to show you is suitable for a beginner, anyone with limited experience, or for studio potters. You can spend several £1000s on a slip casting unit, but it's perfectly possible to do without one. When I first started, my equipment was a jug, a small bucket, and a kitchen-type hand mixer. Last year I upgraded a bit and got myself a fermenting vessel with a tap. And also, very usefully, a paint mixer. I also have a shallow plastic crate and 3 barbecue grills. These aren't ideal because they rust, which means I can't reclaim any slip that's touched them. They go over my plastic container or a bucket when I'm emptying the mould. Once I've mixed my slip and let it settle, I put a jug on a stand underneath the tap. Take the plastic bag off and turn the tap on. Then start to pour the slip into the jug. It takes a little while, it's quite slow to pour. That needs to settle, so let me show you the mould that I'm using. It's a 2-part cylinder mould. Here's the base. The blue natures fit together. It needs to be very tightly fitting. I use bicycle inner tubes cut to size, joined with a very tight knot. I fit it onto the mould, making sure that it isn't twisted. If it isn't flat, your mould will wobble when you stand it up, and also you won't get an even pour at the top. You can see from my grimace that it's hard to get on, which is exactly how it needs to be. If possible, keep the band away from the pouring hole. I put the mould in my plastic container because it catches any spills. And I'm pouring slowly to avoid air bubbles. The mould needs to be filled right to the top. As the moisture is drawn out, the level of the slip drops, so it needs to be topped up. Now I leave it for as long as needed. That depends on the wall thickness I want, and also on the ambient temperature and humidity. I like to mark the usual time on the mould. With this one, after 8 minutes, I'm ready to pour it out. It's important to get most of it out, otherwise the excess will run back in. It makes the base too thick, and also you can get run marks on the inside of the pot, particularly if there's a lot of slip left in there. Once I've done that, I leave it upside down on the grid for a while to drain into the plastic container. And now I'm ready to put the slip back in its container. Using a plastic spatula to scrape out the jug, because I don't want to waste any of the slip. Then put the lid back on tightly. Before I finish, I need to clean the inside of my tap. I use a small pot of water and an unused mascara brush. The slip inside the tap dries quickly, so if I don't do this, I'll struggle to pour the slip out next time. Once it's clean, I take my plastic bag, dip it in a little bit of the water and cover the tap. That just helps to stop any drying on the inside. The right time to open the mould will depend. Because I live in a cool, damp climate, I normally wait until the next day. You'll need to experiment, but you will need to leave it at least 4 hours. This mould has a conical pouring area. I need to release the clay from it first, which I do very gently with a wooden tool, being very, very careful not to damage the plaster mould. Now I can lift the top part of the mould carefully away from the base, making sure that the pot doesn't fall. And here it is, one cylinder ready to put to one side to dry. Slip casting can be a messy process, as you can see from my floor. So to stop dust getting into my lungs once this mess dries, there's one last job to do, and that is mop the floor. I hope you found that useful. If you have any questions or would like to know more about my work, head over to my website, chlorisceramics.com, and register or sign up to my newsletter. You can also follow me on Instagram at chlorisceramics.jillbanks. That's Jill with a G, Jill Banks all one word, Chloris Ceramics all one word. Thank you for watching. Keep in touch.